All right, well, Houston on the road, number 15, Oklahoma. Oklahoma's a 30-point favorite in this one. The over under I have is one third down conversion for Oklahoma's first team offense. Just one. That's it. That's all we're asking for. The first team offense had zero third down conversions in the opener. The first and only Oklahoma third down conversion all game for those first teamers. That was on the, well, actually, that didn't come. For Oklahoma as a whole, it was the final offensive play of the day. It was an 8-yard touchdown run. That is a weird stat for the team that won 51-3, that they could not convert these third downs. It's not a good stat, and it's definitely something that needs to get cleaned up before the meat of that Oklahoma schedule hits. Because if you don't have an identity on third down to be able to turn to against really good competition, you don't need me to tell you that. Venables actually looked like he sent out the first team offense for one extra series than what I was expecting to basically try and iron out some of those issues on third down. But instead, the Sooners end up going 3 and out in that spot. I watched that whole game because I'm a sicko, so I'll provide a little bit of context on this. And it's gonna. I'm not making excuses for it, but I do think context is important. Injuries played a pretty significant role, I thought, in that stat in particular, because their most experienced offensive lineman, Troy Everett, was out. Venables said he's close to returning. Oklahoma's starting center, Branson Hickman, went down 10 snaps into the game. Not ideal for a quarterback in his second career start to suddenly have a new center, which we know centers are important with being able to call out blitzes, identify the mic, all those different things.
Snap the football, as we learned last year at Alabama.
Very important, underrated thing is simply snapping it successfully. Hickman's been practicing. He's apparently good to go for week 2, so that's good news for Oklahoma. Oklahoma receiver Andrell Anthony, the guy who was leading the team in receiving before he went down last year. He was playing his first game back. He is still very much working his way back from injury. He only played 8 snaps in this one. Albany, the drum team member, Nick Anderson, not the Orlando Magic one, the one without the K in his name. He was banged up in camp, so he was held out of that opener as kind of a precaution. They need him for the long haul. And then Jaleel Farouk, he breaks his foot in the opener, and he's out for 6 to 8 weeks. So a strength of this team, something I talked about a lot in the offseason, is these Oklahoma pass catchers and how I feel like that's going to ease their transition into the SEC. That was a major issue in the opener, and it felt like the only guy that Jackson Arnold could really trust was Deion Burks. And Burks was awesome. Looks as advertised, 3 touchdowns in that opener. That guy's going to make plays all over the place, but Oklahoma needs to stay healthy, period. Like, they just have to stay healthy, because otherwise I'm not sure that Jackson Arnold has a true deep threat in that passing game. And that offensive line that's been in question, they can't really afford to lack that continuity. They desperately need continuity with all those moving pieces. So having said that, Jackson Arnold goes on Feinbaum and he says, Oklahoma's opening up the playbook against Houston. Didn't have the full arsenal on their, to be able to roll out there in some of those spots. So who knows? Maybe that's going to make a difference. By the way, Houston just got smoked by Barry Odom-led UNLV. Smoked. Okay? Lost by 3 touchdowns. Not great. So if you're wondering why is Oklahoma a 30-point favorite against a Houston team that's actually in the Big 12 now, Willie Fritz, I think we all like Willie Fritz. That's why. That's it, because their turnover is very, very significant. I think Oklahoma pitches a shutout. I think Oklahoma wins this 35-0. Some good vibes, return to that passing game, and Oklahoma hits the over on 1 third down conversion.
I'm sorry, the brain gymnastics I just did with COVID were just so electric. I was like, oh, Houston's bad? That's crazy, because I feel like they've gotten up and scared some teams. I was like, yeah, last year they really hung in there with Texas. Then I was like, actually, I like their head coaching hire. This is after you just told me that Barry Odom had just smushed them. And you're like, oh, it's really...
Did you hear that?
That one.
Did you see that one?
You're actually in a scary movie right now.
I am. That was horrifying. If you're on the YouTube audience and you just heard that, I thought my house was about to just go without power, basically.
How's your internet still on? That's crazy.
How is my internet still on? That's unbelievable. Oh my goodness.
Back to Barry Odom, expert difficulty unlocked. So basically, I was telling these guys, or I was talking about these guys are my internal voices. I was thinking to myself, okay, I really like them. That's interesting. And then of course they just got smushed, because the stuff that we think will work with coaching hires never works the way we think it will, because Houston has always been kind of like that team that's, they got Holgerson. They're kind of a tough out. They're kind of whatever. Nah. So yeah, to your point, every season's kind of a vacuum. I love the we didn't open up the playbook quote. That's like the old I'm going to run some stuff I'm less familiar with. There'll be more turnovers, so watch out. But at the same time, this is not the opponent. Apparently, I was really excited to see this, but was not keeping up with the Houston UNLV game enough. Apparently,
Yeah, no, you weren't dialed into that one. You weren't.
if I had known Barry Odom was in town when I was in Vegas, I might have paid a visit to his office to see how he gets down. But outside of that, no, can't say I was.
Yeah, not great. Very Houston, a team that could struggle very much with that 30-day window. Looks like it's going to be a rough early start for them. But Oklahoma's defense looked awesome in the opener, and that's kind of the thing that's going to have to be really, really good for them to be able to kind of beat some of those better teams in the SEC with that schedule that is very well documented how difficult it is. Houston will not look like one of those better teams. Okay.
Yep.
Oklahoma should win this one very, very convincingly.